welcome back to The Spark is Love. I am your host, Casey Pacheco, and it is my pleasure and my privilege to be with you and to bring valuable people and make them very visible for you to see. I love my nurses, and today I have one of my favorite nurses on. She's actually the founder of Nurses in Charge, Dr. Niampu Karmuhal. But today we're bringing her in because she has a very special business and it's called Pioneer Nurse Consultants. So we're going to hear all about it. Dr. Niampu, welcome, welcome. How are
Thank you.
you
Thank you,
today,
Casey.
sis?
I'm doing wonderful.
Wonderful. Welcome to the studio. We are excited about your Pioneer Nurse Consultant business, and we want to hear a little bit, not just about what the business is about, but we want to get to know you a little bit. We want to know what is it? What is the whole Pioneer Nurse like? What's the Pioneer Nurse? Let's start there. What's the Pioneer Nurse?
Well, Casey, thank you so much. You just bring excitement to the whole show when you start talking. But to your question, the pioneer nurse is this nurse who bring about innovative ways of practice, best practices, and ways never thought before. Literally, we are trailblazers, right? We are trailblazers, making our profession shine, making our nurses stay at work, but innovatively tailoring those services for nursing providers and nursing employers.
So this pioneer nurse is a trailblazer. Of course, the pioneer nurse is a nurse in charge, right? But
Yeah.
this pioneer nurse is a trailblazer, and you are raising up this movement with pioneer nurses where you're actually going into facilities, you're going into healthcare agencies, and you're supporting them from not just a superficial level, but a root level, and you're helping them
Yes.
to make root level changes, right? Now,
Right.
what's your experience? Tell the audience a little bit of who you are. We know you're a doctor of nursing practice, but give us some of your background because it's not just the PhD or the DNP that stands out, but what really is driving you is really your rich and diverse history in nursing, and not just the type of nursing, but the different settings. So share with the audience what is your history and background with nursing.
Well, I can say growing up as a nurse, I started up as a nurse's aide. And actually, I would take you back to when I worked as a housekeeper. That was one of my very first job in a
Okay.
healthcare setting. I worked as a housekeeper. And then when I graduated high school, I went on and became a nurse's aide, trained at this nursing nursing home that paid me $7.50 to sit in class. Listen, a high school graduate getting
Yeah.
paid to get trained. That was the ballpark. So I became a nurse's aide because I wanted to see what it was like to be in that environment. I had always wanted to become a nurse from the age of 9. So that was just the breakthrough moment for me. So beyond that, I went on to get my bachelor's and then master's and whatnot. But over the life of my career, I have worked in long-term care facilities. I worked in correction, and that was one of my favorite places to be. Most nurses don't like to be locked up, but I have fun working in prisons. I've worked in hospitals, ICU. I've worked in critical care. Let me be a little more define the word critical care settings. I worked in trauma. I worked for the most part. I worked in med surg. I've
Okay.
also worked for private sectors. I've worked for the federal government as well.
Mhm.
So over all these years, and let me not even leave out going for disaster responses during the
Wow.
Ebola crisis, and COVID came, and that was not new to me. I love to work in areas where nurses are highly needed and nurses are strained. So over the life of my profession, I have seen it all. I have even worked as a travel nurse. You
Okay.
know, I'm
Okay.
very much inquisitive. I like to see what nurses go through and how is it that their work environments. I like to see, and experience it for myself because I cannot speak on something that I have never been through and fully represent the nurses that I represent, or even the the healthcare centers
Mhm.
that hire these nurses. So I've worked in all these places to truly gather information, to gather my experience, and say there's a major need in these places when it comes to staff turnover, when it comes to the so-called nursing shortage and all that. So and
Yes.
workplace safety and all that. So there's nothing you can't you can't ask me about these areas that I wouldn't tell you.
Yes, and Dr. Nyampu, you have such a diverse and unique and so broad experience of nursing that you have seen it, and you actually got some extra training. And if I can just share my screen, so I can show your website, because you also offer a little bit of OSHA training, so you got some background in OSHA, because that's not usually typical of a nurse. So you are really pioneering some things.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the safety component of the workplace.
That's excellent. So you have so much to offer a healthcare facility. But let's go back to your why. What's your why in launching this business? Of course, you have successfully launched Nurses in Charge. That's a global movement. That's really exciting. What's your why behind Pioneer Nurse? Why do you feel as though Pioneer Nurse is a company that needs a consulting agency, that the presence really needs to be in the field of nursing right now?
So Casey, Pioneer Nurse come on to truly revamp the system. I would say we have a faulty system that is deteriorating. So looking at such a system, lowering and truly understanding that employers and employee come into a relationship when they come into that encounter where um, an employer is looking for X amount of employees to satisfy the staffing need. Employees are coming on to build a career, to make to have income, feed their family, take care of their needs. So that is an intricate point when these two entities come together. But then there are many barriers and many gaps that need to be closed. So my why is that both the employer and the employee have benefits in this relationship that they build, wherever however long it goes for. So making sure that this term of employment lasts long, and there's value, there is practices that are very much safe for the patients that we take care of. So with that dynamic of activities that happens between one being employed and the employer bringing in this employee, it needs to be cultured. I would say this encounter, and for the longevity of it, needs to be nurtured. So if we have those barriers and those gaps that are already in the workplaces that are not being bridged, then we have issues of high turnover rate. We have issues of patients harm towards the patient instead of giving the best care to the patient, and valuable ones as well, and lawsuits. So as I've seen that, and it really does hurt to see that this is where we are at. This is the phase of employment, and or um, yeah, this is where the healthcare industry is going, and it's bad. It's
Well,
horrific.
let's have a real conversation. Let's have an authentic conversation. Let's talk about what nurses really see, right? So you get a new job and you go in and you have, and I'm sure you've seen it, especially as a travel nurse, You have all these competencies. So you get educated, but you have all these computer based models. You have to just basically hurry up and pass if you want to start the job, right? But a lot of times, that's not where the education is happening. Even though, yes, they passed the test, yes, they passed off, there, when you look at the results and the sustainability of those nurses. Yes, they passed the test, but were they really educated on the topics that they were supposed to be? So I really like your model because you're bringing this human in person. I'm going to help actually assign a person to capture where your gaps are and not just give you a computer based model to complete where you could just check off and be like click 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 or google the answers. And I'm not saying that all nurses do that, but I'm just saying the reality, there's a big difference between what we do in standard and what we do in practice as nurses. So I'm just being real here. As far as, some people say, well, we don't need that. We already have an OSHA training program. Like, just go online and, fill it out. Or, our aides already know how to work safely. They already know ergonomics. But they're still, your workers' comp plan is showing you still have all these injuries. Why? Because there's a gap between what you send people on a computer base to be compliant with standards and what actually is needed and is being practiced or done. And so what I see you're doing is you're trying to close the gap within real time. You're trying to close the gap not just from a compliance issues. You say, yes, I'm going to help the organization check off their compliance, but I'm actually going to make sure that the education actually sinks into the employees. They understand the why behind what they're doing. Am I verbalizing correctly?
Listen, you you have studied me enough to truly understand the nature of my why and
Yes.
the background of it. So I'll give you a scenario. As a travel nurse, you have I would say a few weeks to get all your documents in to the agency that is accepting you. And that pressure alone, you are under that pressure to make sure you have everything in the midst of that. You also have courses on Elsevier or whatever platform they
Mhm.
use. They'll give you probably 30 courses that you need to complete
Yes.
within, I would say, maybe 2 weeks
Mhm.
maximum, right? 2 to 3 weeks. And you are rushing through these things. You are just like making sure you survive to get those done so that the travel agency can get your documents over to their client. Once
Mhm.
you get those, it does not stop from there because you truly just breeze through this. You just like literally ran through it and
Yes.
got the passing grade.
Yes.
And if you were to, when I did those courses, if you were to quiz me afterward, I had no clue what I just passed. This certificate I just submitted, I would
Mhm.
give you maybe 5 or 10% knowledge retention from the courses. And
Mhm.
it is horrendous because these are the reasons why our patients are sicker. These are the reasons why we have readmission rates going up.
Mhm.
These are reasons why chronic illnesses are like they go through the revolving doors because the nurses are striving in the time limit, the time crunch to get these nurses on board is such a tight space. And then these nurses get to work.
Mhm.
Casey, you have, if you are blessed, I will not even say lucky, if you are blessed to be oriented into that environment, you
Mm.
have 2 days. They'll give you 2 days for orientation in a brand new unit. You have no clue where to find supplies, and those 2 days are basically to show you the computers, the electronic medical record and charting
Mhm.
and all that. And then now you have to survive finding your supplies. You have to survive knowing your way out, knowing your way through. So
Mhm.
2 days for a travel nurse to learn the hospital systems. The first day is to sit in a classroom and do the computer skills, get all your logistics into the system, right? And
Mhm.
then the one day is to show you the unit. The
Yeah,
next day you're on your own,
look
you
at
know.
that.
And then you have these travel nurses assignment. These are the most difficult assignment. These are the patients that are with high acuity.
Look
So
at
they
that.
give you these patients because you're a travel nurse, you have this label on you. So
Mhm.
now what that leaves that patient is in harm's way. It
Mhm.
leaves that hospital bearing a medical malpractice bills. They may not catch those injuries on time, but eventually that patient will not have the you do not have the best care ever. So
Mhm.
then it is one of those roller coaster ride. In the
Mhm.
end of it, there's an injury, right?
Mhm.
So people need to see that these are things that are happening in the workplaces. Employers need to make sure that these breakthrough, these barriers are not there, that these gaps are closed. But yet that is not where we're at. We are on the fast lane or with everything. At the end of the day, our patients are suffering. The employers are rehiring, and the entire cascade is on and on and on. Where at what point do we stop
Mhm.
and make sure that nurses that are coming on board are coming with meaningfulness? They're receiving the proper education, proper training, skill. Is it is terrible, and that was just the travel assignment
Let's
piece of it.
travel. Mhm.
Yeah, that
And
that's yeah. So
you know, I think the travel, it intensifies because of the short time gap. It intensifies
Mhm.
the gaps that are within the healthcare system. But I think also, and I'm telling myself because I've been working in hospital systems since I've been 18 years old. So those computer-based learning models as an aide, as a nurse, you everybody knows annual, you have a whole year to do it, and we all wait till last minute and we all like pass. Nurses, we're very smart. We can pass tests. But what you're saying is your Pioneer Nurse Consultant is coming in as a solution because it's not that you're coming to replace the test. It's not that you're coming to replace the education or the models that are just there, but you are coming to ensure that the employees really digested the information. Sometimes even if you take your time and go through, I've helped a lot of nurses go through their annual education and they still don't get it, right? Not all facilities, not all healthcare agencies have their own dedicated training and development team. And even if they do, that may fall on the HR. So there may be certain aspects that they just cannot help the nurses so that they can practice correctly. So what I see you talking about Pioneer Nurse Consultant is really coming in as a solution with the implementation. And we don't have a problem with knowledge. We don't have a problem with content. We have a problem with implementation. So what
absolutely.
Pioneer Nurse Consultant, what you're doing, what you're bringing your team coming into a facility is to actually help them with implementation that is going to be reflected on the results. So it's not a cost, but it's an investment for any healthcare facility to use your services. That's what I'm hearing.
That is exactly what you're hearing. Plus, you're also hearing that the logic of hiring nurses just because they are numbers replacing other staff that have gone through. You've heard
Mhm,
nurses say, "I'm just a number." When you hear a
mhm,
nurse say, "I'm just a number," they feel devalued.
mhm,
Okay,
mhm,
they feel devalued. And how can we change that to a nurse saying, "I love where I work, nothing will take me out of this job, no matter what, no matter how many sign-on bonuses are out there, this is where I belong"? How often do we hear nurses say that? Very
mhm,
rare. I've
mm,
come close to companies that I would say, no matter how far they are from my house, I would drive there because
wow.
the work culture,
Mhm,
they are now changing the work culture, but still there are
mhm,
still gaps. And you can compare me to an undercover boss. I've done this so that I can study the system, so I can
mhm,
truly know for myself and truly be able to relay the experience for other nurses, to speak out for the nurses, to speak out even on behalf of the employers. What are
Mhm.
they missing when they
Mhm.
when they do the fast track of hiring and throwing all the sign on bonuses out there? What are they truly missing? Revenues going high sky, sky high, because they are rehiring, bringing on brand new nurses. It is a fast pace. It is so competitive. As a nurse, when I hear 30,000 sound on bonus, I'm now thinking, why am I here? Why am I staying here? Should I go grab that? But then
Mhm.
at the end of the day, we both suffer in our relationship. The
Mhm.
impact is strong on both ends. The
Mhm.
employer losing a revenue. The employee is in this cyclic reemployment with no stability. And
Mhm.
families in between suffer. The patients, the major impact is on our patients' lives and
Yeah.
the longevity of their health conditions. So this is a cascade reaction. This is a cascade situation, one of those domino effect that it just continues to fall through. So
Mhm.
at some point we need to close the gaps. There are many loopholes. When you do the gap analysis on these companies and on
Yeah.
these employee, it's mind blowing. But you got to
And
be on the inside to see it.
you have to be on it. And so that's actually something I wanted to talk about because it's sounding like you really need to work alongside leadership. And a lot of times where you find a lot of these gaps are in the middle leadership where they have to implement strategies that maybe they know of a different way, but they don't have the flexibility or the autonomy to actually implement it. So, as coming from an outside consultant perspective, you can advocate for that team in a way, and you're bringing a different type of leadership to the team. This is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely, Casey. There's a notion that these managers are pushing rules down our throat. They just
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
compiling policies, making us do
Hmm.
it. No one sees that even the managers are under pressure to perform. They
Yes,
are under pressure to
yes,
deliver, right? To
yes,
deliver the yeah, they are
mm,
on because they're middle management. They here, employees are here, and then corporate is on them. So we
yes.
truly need to support these managers or even assistant managers, even the chief of nurse. She or he has the pressure from up top, and then it just
Mhm.
goes down. So those who
Exactly.
are on the bottom of this workload and or this ecosystem that we see in the workplace, the nurses are on the very bottom. But when you come between the nurses and the leadership, you see the patients are there as well. So at the end of the
Mhm.
day, patients are going in and out. just
Yeah.
just imagine that. But when they're leaving in and out, they're leaving not truly being cared for properly. But
Mm.
then let's not forget the manage yeah the management system that truly needs to be structured, restructured, revamped. The culture needs to be non-toxic.
Mhm.
Who
Mhm.
lives in such conditions? Who works and thrives in such conditions? No one does. Not
Mhm.
even the germs. The germs come in and they fester somewhere else. So it
Yes.
is just one of those realistic issues that we need to face at the end of the day, and we need to start making corrections.
Well, I wish you the best with Pioneer Nurse Consultant. If someone wants to contact you as far as learning more about how they can collaborate with your services and form a partnership, bringing you into their facility, how will they reach out to you? What is the best means to reach out to you?
Well, through the website pioneernurseconsultant.com or pioneernurseconsultant@gmail.com. So either of those will give prospects access to contact us, and then we'll reach back with them.
Okay, so Pioneer Nurse Consultant, the website will get them straight to you. I thank you so much for what you're doing. I am so proud of you. You are taking charge, you're taking the lead. You have seen gaps, and not only have you banded a group of nurses globally to take reins of solving problems and coming up with solutions, you have a solution for your own community, for your own area to help and support nurses and leadership so that we can really give the excellent patient care that is deserved. Thank you so much. Well, you know, I love you to pieces. I usually leave just a couple minutes at the end and I pull myself out because I just want you, if you had 1 minute to say something very powerful and impactful to a nurse who is listening to this interview, what will you say? What will you share with them?
Hello, fellow nurses. This is your colleague, Nyepu. And I just want to truly say that you are doing a phenomenal job. You are not just a number, you are a person, but you have been put into this, I would say, into this petri dish where whatever is growing within the petri dish, it is on you and it's becoming toxic. It is toxic to the level that it should have never gone through. So I am here. Pioneer Nurse Consultant is here to truly close those gaps so that when you get that job that you are so excited for, that interview that you felt so awesome at performing those interview questions and you went for that onboarding, that excitement will not end there, that it will be a long term relationship with your employee, with your employer, and it will become a meaningful employment to keep you there with your insurance, with your life experiences, with everyone that you are hired to work with and work for. It'll be a long-term relationship. And now for my employers, nurses are not just numbers. They may be numbers to fill in your staffing ratios, but they're humans. They are mothers, they are fathers, they are sisters and brothers, they are someone's loved one. And how we take care of our employees reflects on how we take care of our patients. If our employees are just numbers, then our patients are the well, I would say the numerator of those numbers because our employees are the denominators. And when you see that the denominator is strong, that's your foundation. Your company can go through any problem, can go through the worst of the worst, but your employees will back you up. They will stay there regardless of how difficult the job is because they know their employer has their back and their employer will go through the loops to keep them there and give them the best pay instead of rehiring new staff over and over. When those staff come in through staffing agencies, strive on keeping them. Keep your core staff. That is what makes a company stand strong against all of the crises that will come and go. Healthcare is not easy, but you have to keep your staff. And your staff needs to know that they are valued. They are not just numbers. So I stand to support both sides of the bargain. I'm not here to divide. I'm actually here
Yeah,
to keep that bond. Thank
that
you.
is
From
excellent.
PNC to you.
Excellent, PNC. Well, we are so glad to have you. Thank you so much for gracing us with your brilliance, your excellence, and your love for nurses and the nursing profession. What we will do is we will ask any viewers if they have any questions for you to be sure to leave it in the comment section below. Or if they have any comments on based on what we talked about, sometimes they get fired up, please share it with us. We would love to know. Thank you, Dr. Niempu. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, listeners, for joining us in on this conversation. We'll see you next time on The Spark is Love. Have a great day. Thank you.